Preservation Metadata Implementation Strategies or Premis. So what is Premis? Premis is the international standard for metadata which supports digital preservation. It is a data dictionary that helps to implement preservation metadata. But before we talk about Premis, we need to first understand what digital preservation and preservation metadata are. In this video we will cover what digital preservation is, what digital preservation metadata is, what Premis is and how it helps with digital preservation. Digital preservation concerns protecting digital materials such as documents, videos, images, etc., from no longer existing due to outdated software. Who remembers these? Can you still use them? Would you know where to start? Digital preservation is essential so that we are able to use digital materials in the future. This is crucial as hardware and software are constantly updating. Digital preservation needs to be documented so that we know what has been actioned already and how to go forward with digital preservation. This is why digital preservation metadata is important. Metadata is really data about data. Digital preservation metadata is the information needed to support the digital preservation process. It supports the retrieval and use of documents, provides a record of activities and helps make decisions regarding digital materials. Some examples of preservation metadata are software needed, date or time of last modification and the rights of use. So how does this fit in with Premis? Premis is a resource that helps to implement and record preservation metadata. Premis is based on this data model which shows how four entities are related to each other. Each entity then has semantic units that are either mandatory or optional to be recorded as metadata. A semantic unit is defined as a property of an entity. The first entity is an object, which is a unit of information that requires digital preservation. Some examples are a PDF file, images, datasets and emails. The object entity is then split into four subcategories: intellectual entity, representation, file and bitstream. Object identifier and object category are mandatory semantic units for this entity. These are some examples of some of the semantic units that could be recorded for an object. The event entity is all about actions such as actions that have made changes to a document and actions that create or alter relationships. There are three mandatory semantic units for an event according to Premis. These are event identifier, event type and event date time. The Premis model also allows you to add other information about the event, as these can be different for every repository. An agent could relate to a person, software, hardware or organization which is associated with the digital object. There is only one mandatory semantic unit for an agent, which is agent identifier. There is also the option to record other information that could help to identify an agent, such as name, type and version. The final entity is rights. Rights concern the intellectual property and permissions of the digital object. For the rights entity, at least one of either rights statement or rights extension must be recorded. Again, within the rights entity you can personalize the information added for any situation. There are limitations of Premis, such as it doesn't include descriptive metadata or access rights and recommends looking at other standards for this. Format-specific metadata and detailed metadata for media files has also been excluded and has been left for experts in these fields. There is a Premis implementers group which can give guidance regarding elements of the resource. This video has covered what digital preservation is and why it is important, what digital preservation metadata is and what Premis is and how it helps with digital preservation. Thank you for watching this video.